Hello, my name is Adrian Blair, and the topic I decided to write my research paper on is gay rights. Within gay rights, I focus on issues such as gay marriage and deciding whether or not gay rights are actually human rights or if they're human privileges. Um, Gay rights is a topic and an issue that's being discussed greatly in media today. It's focused on not only the national level, but it's also international. There are 77 countries that have really gruesome, excruciating anti-gay laws. These laws range from fines to short-term prison sentences and long-term prison sentences to hard labor, forced psychiatric treatment, banishment. Um, you have whippings and even death by public stonings. Um, Gay teens are also being victimized and bullied throughout the nation, primarily at schools. Surveys show that 98% of high school teens, gay, straight, all alike, will say that they have heard gay slurs while attending school. Um, Most of those students actually had those gay slurs said to them. Um, Gay teens are actually three times more likely to commit suicide than heterosexual teens. With that being said, family plays a key role in this. Family are there for support. um, a lot of these teenagers and a lot of people, grown adults still, don't feel that support system, and they go and do things like suicide, or they don't feel like their rights are being fought for. This brings me into Terrence McNally's literary piece, Andre's Mother. Andre was a character that we didn't really hear from because his character was, I guess, in the past, he had passed away from AIDS. Although he didn't commit suicide, he still had that missing family aspect in his life. His mother did not accept the fact that he was gay, and then when he died, she finally accepted it at the very end of the story. And it just shows that you don't want to wait until the last minute to tell the person that you love them and that you're there for them and that you support them. And coming to the term support, we have a lot of different social icons out there in the world that are voicing their opinions and wanting to be heard and want the world to know that they are here behind these people fighting for their rights. People like Beyonce Knowles, she posted two Instagram posts. Her first one said it was about time, marriage is love, and show your support. Her second one she posted on Instagram was a human rights campaign, red equal sign, and in that she said, if you like it, you should be able to put a ring on it. Pound, we will fight for marriage equality. Ellen DeGeneres had a very interesting conversation with former Arizona Senator John McCain on her show, and on there she was questioning about his views on gay marriage. And although he strongly did, and I applaud this, he strongly applauded, backed his reasoning for why he does not believe in gay marriage because he believes it is between a man and a woman. He did say that he believes that people should be able to bind themselves into legal agreements, which is basically to married altogether. Now, Ellen did say come back, and she said when someone says you can have a contract and you still have insurance and you'll get all that, it sounds to me like saying, well, you can sit there, you just can't sit there. Another social icon that opened up and voiced their opinions about this situation of gay rights is Greg Louganis in 1995. Olympic diving hero Greg Louganis opened up about his sexuality and that he was living with HIV on the Oprah show. Oprah fully supported it and said that this is a very serious situation. Greg went in to talk about the reasoning why it had took him so long to come out and why he decided to share it with the world. And in his words, I quote, he said, I got to the point where I would just hide in my house with my dogs because I knew it was safe. Because if I was out in public, then I had to hide myself. I was feeling like a fake, and also I was feeling, how could anybody accept me if they knew me? Now, he basically is expressing that people aren't accepting of this. We have these laws like we have Proposition 8 and the Defense of Marriage Act. The Defense of Marriage Act is basically DOMA, short for DOMA. It's basically a piece of legislation that says one state does not have to uphold another state's marriage laws. Basically saying if you got gay married in New York, you can travel and move to Georgia, but Georgia does not have to recognize your marriage because it's not legal there. It's illegal. Um, DOMA is also a type of legislation, anti-gay legislation, that's just like Proposition 8. Proposition 8 is a ballot proposition. Basically, voters were able to directly vote for this. In November of 2008, Proposition 8 overturned the Supreme Court's ruling, um, a decision allowing basically for same-sex marriage, but this made same-sex marriage illegal now. On January 11th of 2010, in a San Francisco court, the case Perry versus Schwarzenegger, Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was the current governor of California then, um, that case began, and it basically was meant to shoot down Proposition 8 and to allow same-sex marriages to continue in California. Now, one of the lead lawyers on the case was Theodore B. Olson, and he said something beautifully that ultimately led to the defeat of Proposition 8 and the continuation of same-sex marriages in California. He said, separate is not equal. Civil unions and domestic partnerships are not the same as marriage. We're not inventing any new right or creating a new right or asking the courts to recognize a new right. The Supreme Court has said over and over and over again that marriage is a fundamental right, and although our opponents say, well, that's always been involving a man and a woman, the Supreme Court has talked about it, and they've said it's an associational right, it's a liberty right, it's a privacy right, and it's an expression of your identity, which is all wrapped up in the Constitution. Now, with that being said, you do have your people who are gonna fight against things like this and go against same-sex marriages and gay rights and go for the traditional field. Um, CEO and president of Chick-fil-A, Dan Cathy, he expressed his opinions on the situation of gay marriages, especially when Doma was shot down. When Doma was shot down, Dan Cathy had tweeted, in his words, sad day for our nation. Founding fathers would be ashamed of our generation to abandon wisdom of the ages, cornerstone of a strong society. Now, that is not the first time that Dan Cathy opened his mouth when he honestly did not need to be. In July 2012, Cathy made headlines when he said guilty as charged. Basically, somebody had asked him online whether or not he supported the traditional family, which is basically a family where there's a lead man and a lead woman, and he said guilty as charged. Took a lot of blow for that. And then you have politicians like Sarah Palin, when Duck Dynasty star Phil Robertson opened his mouth on live television, and he compared gays to terrorists, drunks, pedophiles. He was ultimately banned from A&E. He was banned from the show, fired. He could no longer, I guess, perform. Sarah Palin took to Twitter and she said in her words, free speech is an endangered species. Those intolerant, hating, and taking on the Duck Dynasty patriarch for voicing his personal opinion are taking on all of us. Now, this goes along with the Westboro Baptist Church, which are a little more radical on these issues. They're located based out of Kansas, and they're basically a church that goes around protesting and picketing, basically at different gay social events like concerts, conventions. They go around to fallen military soldiers' funerals. They terrorize their family, and it's all legal because of the freedom of speech, First Amendment of the Constitution. Now, a family actually did sue the Westboro Baptist Church and win in the lower courts, but it was taken to the Supreme Court where they actually overturned it, and the family lost, and the Westboro Baptist Church won. The church really tests the competing constitutional rights of freedom of speech and privacy. Now, Chief Justice John Roberts, in his words, commented on the situation and said, speech is powerful. It can stir people to action, move them to tears of joy and sorrow, and as it did here, inflict great pain. But we cannot react to that kind of pain by punishing the speaker. Now, the Westboro Baptist Church says God hates fags. They give you these different Bible verses, and one Bible verse in particular that most people and that the Westboro Baptist Church fall on are Leviticus 20:13, which reads, "If a man lies with a man as one lies with a woman, both of them have done what is detestable. They must be put to death. Their blood will be on their own heads." Now, when interpreting the Bible, you must make sure that you interpret all the words in the context of the Bible. Now, Leviticus was one that always put things into categories. If this is true, if man cannot lie with man, and woman cannot lie with woman, that means you are not allowed to wear shirts that have different fibers and different blends in it. You're not allowed to talk to a woman who is within 7 days of a period. You are not allowed to eat shrimp and a number of other things. But society today just looks at the things that it wants to look at. All sins are equal in God's eyes. Most of us know that. But if you want to put that Bible verse into context and really look at the words of it, it's basically saying that man should not treat man as he did women, because back in those days when Leviticus had wrote this scripture, basically women were property to men. Women were either owned by their fathers or their husbands. At some point they were sold. Okay, if you were to touch another man's property, then that property was no longer good. That's what was detestable. I can go on and on and on about these different Bible verses, but at the end of the day, gay rights, in my own opinion, are human rights. Okay, if it was privilege, it would be something about gays not paying taxes, just like churches don't. Thank you.